Would you pour a $45 bourbon into a Manhattan, especially for a buddy that's like, I'll take it, I always ask, do you want it stiff or do you want it soft, right? So that sounds terrible.
That is very sexual. Thank you, Zika. Yo, welcome into the show. I'm Ryan O'Leary.
And I'm Mike Zika.
And this is the Bourbon Playbook, just another
podcast in the basement.
That's right. Happy New Year, man.
Happy New Year.
I see you survived New Year's Eve working at the brewery behind the bar.
We did. It was a crazy night.
There was not enough bartenders.
Not enough. But that means more money for me at the end of the night, and it worked out well.
Yeah, it was good to be there until my kid had enough.
Yeah.
You gave him about, how many root beers did you give him? 2. There was only 2.
Never enough. It's on tap, man. It's good stuff.
He now gets root beers every time we go to the brewery, which the 3-year-old is enjoying.
Plastic cup, straw.
Yeah.
I got it down, man.
He just loves the sugar, man. He's like, I like this root beer. I'm like, fuck. We might have introduced this a little too soon. But it's all good. But yeah, we were there. It was fun to spend a little time at the brewery, but you didn't really have time to chat. You look like you were busy, my man. How long? How does that work? Do you guys close it down at a certain time, or do you just kind of roll until people leave?
Yeah, good question. Breweries are a little different, right? We're not open till 12 or 1 or 2 in the morning. So most breweries are open until about 10 or 11. So on the weekdays, we're open until 10. Weekends open till 11.
How about New Year's Eve?
10 o'clock we locked up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you didn't stay till midnight.
No, I mean I did.
You were there,
cleaning up,
but
yeah.
folks weren't there to see
The
shit
ball
go
drop.
down.
Yeah.
Which is pretty funny because for me, being from the East Coast, like usually you'll turn on the New Year's Eve thing, whatever, at Times Square, and you'll watch the thing drop and all that. So we finally put that on back at the house at like 11:30, but that shit had already gone down on the East Coast. The ball already went down, and I'm not used to that here in Minnesota. So we got like the B team concerts that were still going on. You know what I mean? Like these like country dudes performing and stuff on the New Year's Eve special, New Year's special, whatever that was on TV. Like we didn't even get to see the thing go down. I'm like, shit, I got to watch that at 11 p.m. here in Minnesota. So I messed up New Year's Eve back at the house, but it was still a good one. Any New Year's resolutions?
Ooh,
I didn't prep you on this.
I'm gonna try a dry January outside of the pod. I just think it's that time of the year, and I've been overdoing it a little bit on the whiskey bourbon. Working at a pub, man.
Yeah.
I mean, when you got free beer and you got a whiskey cabinet, that's always you got the itch. So
well stocked.
Yeah, that's a problem sometimes. So it's easier said than done, but this is a good time to kind of take a step back, refocus, revitalize. Do the whole 9. So.
What is the point? What is the point of that? I made a resolution to floss, and I did it. 12/01, January 1st, bam, blood everywhere.
I love that. I'm going to go a dry January, except for the podcast.
That's the agreement I made with myself, and that's
so you get one night a week
exactly.
where you get to drink a little bit, throw some beers back and some bourbon.
Get all antsy on Wednesdays,
which is what we do. That's cool. So New Year's resolution, man. This is something that for me has gotten really bad lately, and I don't know why. Procrastination.
Yes.
I'm procrastinating at an alarming rate these days. I do not know what the problem is. It's like, even with the house, like new stuff with the house, like, you got to change those filters every 3 months. You got to clean them. I'm like, I'll get to that soon. It's like, bro, you got to do this shit, right? Like I finally got in there and checked it out. I'm like, it's January 1st. I better change those filters. Freaking things have picked up a lot of dust in there, man.
Yeah.
It's so bad. I blame my career in journalism and being a sports editor for all those years up for a newspaper. I did that shit forever. And man, there was always a deadline you had to hit. Now, if you don't give me a deadline, shit ain't getting done. Okay. So I need to get better on that shit. Like stop pushing things to the last second. Like don't wait till you're out of contact lenses to call the eye doctor to make an appointment. Like these little things in life, if you see me wearing my glasses a little more coming up, that's why I'm running out of lenses,
shit, man. I'm gonna dive in. I'm gonna be like, hey,
you're gonna see me with my sexy glasses will be on. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I gotta get out of that routine, man. It's bad. It's bad.
That's all right. That's a good one, man. I love that.
Want to pour one out?
Let's do it. All right, Ryan, for this week's Pour of the Week, I'm going to switch it up a little bit. How does that sound?
Go on. I don't know. I'll let you know how that sounds when you tell me what are you switching up. I like my routines. I don't like surprises.
Well, we're going to try to stick to a script today, all right? I know you're struggling a little bit of that in the new year, so we're going to focus in. I need your full attention. Can you give me that?
I'm here. I'm looking right in your eyes right now. Beautiful eyes.
Hey.
Are those brown?
They are brown.
Yeah.
Caramel.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, caramel. Go on.
Caramel.
Good. I've already thrown you off your game.
I know. So I'm switching up this week.
Light flirting.
Yeah. So instead of bourbon, I'm pouring out some stats, and I want you to guess who I'm talking about, all right?
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to have 3 teams, and I want you to guess which team it is after I go over some stats. So
what sport?
Sport is football.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
So you have a little bit of a background in
Yeah,
this.
I can.
Right?
That's my wheelhouse. I can do this.
All right. So kicking it off, Team 1 through week 16, they're currently 3-13, averaging 16 points per game.
Oh,
points against 25 per game. Current 6-game losing streak, and I'll give you a hint. It's a rough team to be a fan of right now.
I think I see where you're going with this. There's a lot of 3 and 4 win teams in the NFL right now, but I think this one has to be my New England Patriots.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah,
correct.
The team right now heading into the last week of the regular season, and yeah, just for reference, we are speaking on January 2nd, heading into the regular season finale. You know, this pod might be coming out a little bit later, but the Patriots are in line now for number 1 overall pick. All they have to do is lose to the Buffalo Bills, which should not be that hard. Even if the Bills are resting their starters, it should not be that hard for the Patriots to go out there and lose one more game like the good little crap team they are.
All right, Ryan, you talk about worst wins in franchise history.
Add it to the list.
3 weeks ago, we see Vegas cough up a first overall pick. 2 weeks ago, we see New York cough up a first overall pick. This week, we see the New England Patriots cough up a first overall pick.
Yeah. So team number 1, suckbag team, Patriots. You're rubbing that in my face for some reason. How dare you?
I mean,
you must be feeling really good. Your Vikings are in first place, going for the number 1 seed this weekend. Feeling really good about yourself.
Go on.
That's all I got to say.
All right, team number 2 through week 16. Record is 14-2. Points for 26 points per game. Points against 18 per game. Current 9-game win streak. Defensive dominance.
Purple underwear.
Interceptions. Leading the league with 22.
I don't need any more stats. I know the answer.
That's it. I'm done.
You gave it away with 9-game win streak.
That's it, I'm
So
done.
I think there's 2 14-2 teams, if I'm not mistaken. The Chiefs are 15-1. I don't think there's another team with 14 wins. The Eagles are 13-3. So it's the Vikings and Detroit. They're both 14-2, but the 9-game win streak gives it away because the Vikes are clearly on a 9-game win streak. They haven't lost since those 2 games in 5 days, right? They lost on a Sunday to Detroit. Then they lost on a Thursday night to the Rams. They lost 2 games in 5 days. They haven't lost since. So it's the Vikings. Congratulations. They're very good this year. Yes.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Ding, ding, ding.
All right.
Correct.
All right.
Correct.
2 for 2. I like this game. Go on. Is the next one the Lions?
Well, you'll have to see.
Go ahead. Give me the stats.
I'm going to give you a stat line here. Team number 3 in the final team. Ryan is currently 2 for 2. Record. Through 16 games. Not in 2024-2025 season.
Jesus.
So previous team. Their record through 16 games is 12-4. Hint, AFC East champions. Points for 26, ranked 7th in the NFL. Points against 14, first in the NFL, best defense in the league. Final hint, remember the Untouchables. The dynamic duo.
I might need another hint on this one.
2019.
I'll
give you a clue.
I don't think the Vikes were any good in 2019, were they?
Yeah, it's not about the Vikes right now.
Is it the
Ryan.
Patriots?
I'm trying to. Is that your final answer?
Was that the Patriots' last Super Bowl team?
Correct.
Yep. They weren't that good. I mean, they only
Correct.
won 13-3 over Jared Goff and the Rams.
Yeah.
All right, so what's the point of this game?
So
The Vikes are better than the last Patriots Super Bowl team?
I mean, you said it, not me. All right. All I wanted to say was...
Can we compare the 2024 Vikings to the 2007 Patriots with Randy Moss? You want to do that game?
Let's not go there, dude. We don't have time for that, nor do our listeners want to be reminded of anything about that season.
Okay, so this is just a long-winded way of just talking shit about the Vikings?
It's a...
Is that it?
Yes, Ryan. Yes, it is.
Okay.
All right.
Like, where are you going? Land the plane. Land the plane. Where are you going with this?
My pour of the week is to continue.
This has been your pour of the week often.
Because it doesn't stop.
No, it's been
because I'm still living in euphoria.
And you should. It's a great time to be a Vikes fan.
I want to read a little bit of a sports monologue, maybe even like some slam poetry that kind of got the juices and the creativity flowing this week. I actually just watched 22 Jump Street, so shout out to Jonah Hill.
Okay.
But as I was taking notes, thinking about what I'm going to pour it out to this week, obviously the Vikes, right? 14-2. So I got a little bit of some slam poetry. Are you open to hear this?
Sure. No, I can't wait now.
Okay.
I'm intrigued.
Vikings stomp the Packers. I said it before, I'll say it again. The purple and gold kings reign supreme in the frozen tundra of Minnesota. Cheeseheads everywhere, take a seat. Sam Darnold for president? Nah, let's just make him the king of the North while we're at it. And no, don't even get me started on the defense. B-Flow's neck must be sore as hell from carrying the crown and Kirko's dusty-ass chains all season long. Ladies and gentlemen, after 64 seasons, destiny is calling. Super Bowl 59 champs? You bet your skull chance it's happening. The drought is over. Purple confetti, here we come.
Darnold back to pass, sacked 3 times, dropped the ball. It's a strip sack for the Rams, and it's picked up by Jared Verse, and here comes the rookie. Inside the 30 to the 20 to the 10. Touchdown, LA Rams. Jared Verse with his first National Football League touchdown with 4.5 minutes to go in the first half has propelled the LA Rams to a 16-3 lead.
Mic drop.
Beautiful, man. That's beautiful. That was really good. And very passionate too.
Thanks. I hope this ages well, like cheese or bourbon. So.
Oh no, we suck again.
Anyway, enough about me and my unstoppable winning team, Ryan. Pour of the week, hit me, man. What's up?
All right, let me preface this by asking you a question.
Shoot.
No stats involved. This is just kind of a little rant I want to get off my chest. I apologize to my family members in advance, but are you a Christmas guy, Zika? I've seen you outside, like stringing up your lights. You do like the pretty displays. So you are a Christmas guy.
Christmas is like your birthday where you get all the presents and all the attention, but everybody gets all the presents and all the attention. So it's like everybody's winning, not just you. You don't have to sit back and kind of, feel awkward and like, yeah, this is cool. I'm just getting older and more wrinkly. No, it's like everybody's having fun. You're mixing some cocktails. Little kids are going crazy. You're eating copious amounts of food, meat sweats, the whole nine. Mm-hmm. That's my jam, dude.
Yeah.
So yeah, Christmas.
So for me, it's like, yeah, the idea of Christmas, the spirit of it, being around people you love and all that. And especially now with a 3-year-old, Christmas is much more meaningful now than it was in like my early 30s, you know what I mean? Late 20s, where I was kind of over it. And like the whole giving and receiving gifts thing is just not my personal love language. Like I don't get the warm fuzzies when I get a gift. And I honestly, picking out a gift for someone is like, it just does not come naturally to me. Like I'm just not good at that shit. So, and this is a true story, actually. I think I've said this on the pod before, but I'm now 2 for 2 since I moved to Minnesota. 2 years. Both times I have gone to the Mall of America on the Saturday before Christmas Day.
My man.
Me and the crazies.
Oh.
And why would I do that? It's because the wife tells me, oh, I didn't go too crazy this year. I only got you 8 things to open. I'm like, you got me 8 things to open? I'm like, what the fuck are you doing to me?
What did you do this year? Good God.
You got me 8 gifts. So now I have to schlep my ass to Mall of America and get you 8 things to open. And what am I doing?
Mind you, there's 2 to 3 malls with basically anything you could want before you even get to the Mall of America.
Yeah, but I have to go to, those are my people. The people at the Mall of America on the Saturday before Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Whenever Christmas Day falls.
You just want to sit on Santa's lap. Don't lie. Don't lie.
No, I think Elsa was there, so I wouldn't say.
Respect. All right.
No.
Let's go with E.
Oh, that was inappropriate. Sorry, Katie. But no, I those are my people. I have to go to the mall. My wife knows this about me. She knows I'm a mall guy. I like to go physically into the store and like window shop. And if I see something that catches my eye, I'm like, okay, that's my wife will like that. My kid will like that.
Yeah.
It
has everything.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm not an Amazon guy on Christmas. I don't buy things on Amazon. I actually despise that, and I'm going to get to that. That's actually part of the story, and I'll get to that here.
Okay.
In a little bit. But yeah, I'm 2 for 2 now going to the Mall of America. I actually my wife was traveling for work, so I just went with my 3-year-old, Julian. We went to the mall, and side note, got him on some rides for the first time, which was really fun. There was like this little train roller coaster that went kind of fast that he could go on with me, and we went together. It was fun. There was like these kids' bumper cars that he went on. He actually was in the car by himself. He just drove in a circle. He just he was like a top spinning, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was just spinning. It was hilarious. He thought that was great. There was like a banana swing that just swang back and forth, and that was cool. So we're going on all the rides, and he just turned 3. He's like 39 and a half inches already. He's a pretty tall kid for his age.
Big dude.
But you got to be 42 inches to kind of go on those kids' rides by yourself. So he can go on them. He just needs a parent to go on with him. So there was a lot of them where I was squeezing my ass into these like small cars and like getting in there and going on the rides, and like even the kid working, the ride is like, "Sir, I need to put this bar down." I'm like, "Well, you're gonna have to like contort my leg in a way that is not physically gonna like I can't fit in this car, bro." But we figured it out. But there was this one ride where it was just these cars that like go in a circle. You get in a car and they follow each other around the circle, but like they go really slow on the straightaways and then they whip around the turn. I did not know how aggressive it was. My son really wanted to go on it, so we scan the ticket, we go out there, and this time I could not get in the car. It was just too small. Like I could not fit in that thing. I'm 6'3". I could not fit in this thing, and I just looked at my son. He was all excited. He's all buckled in. I'm like, "You got this, bro. Hold on tight. All right, Dad is gonna watch." And he's like, okay. And he's like kind of wide-eyed. I'm like, you got this. Granted, my son just turned 3. So I walk to the bar. I'm watching. And he goes around this thing. The ride starts. And he's going. He whips around. The first whip, I was like, oh, mistakes were made, right? Mistakes were made. So he comes down, and I already see the fear in his eyes as he's coming around, and now he whips back the other way, and now I'm seeing the back of his head as he, you know what I mean? It's like a circle.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, fuck. And then he comes back towards me, and now you can see he's moved to the edge, and he's holding on for dear life, his little arms. And I'm just thinking, I'm like, I hope this ride's over soon, because I can see his eyes are welling up. Now he's going around. I see the back of his head. He whips around. He's coming at me. Now he's crying, looking at Dad for help. I'm like,
oh, no.
What do you do in this moment? Do you jump over the bar and tell the guy to stop the ride? No, I start cheering for him. Like, you got this, bro. Hold on tight. Yeah, you got it. He's crying, whips around. He's still going. I'm like, shit, they're still not stopping this ride. Okay. He comes around again, bawling his eyes out, holding on, trying to hold
white
on,
knuckles.
not fall. He's white knuckling. He's buckled in, but he thinks he's going to die. Right. Yeah. And this is a traumatic experience for him. He gets to the end of the ride. Long story short, he held on just like all the big kids. I was super proud of him, but he was done. There was no more rides. And then for 2 nights in a row, he had a hard time sleeping because he would just like start crying and say, PTSD. That ride was too fast, Dad. And he just can't. So I feel horrible for that. But anyway, that was just a side tangent. That's not why I need a bourbon this week.
Okay.
The real reason why I need a bourbon is because of Amazon. Amazon. And really, when it comes to Christmas, I actually enjoy going to the mall and doing that thing with all my people. Last minute shopping. Like that's what I do. The actual sitting there with my wife and my kid and exchanging gifts live, that's still really exciting and pure, right? Like kind of what you were talking about.
That, yeah.
Eating some good food, having some Irish coffees or mimosas or whatever during the day, like really fun. What drives me crazy though, what makes me need a bourbon is the countless unmarked boxes from Amazon that show up throughout the month of December nonstop, and I just throw them in a pile in my closet. To my family, my extended family especially, I love the shit out of all of you. I do. I love you guys. But if you sent me a Christmas gift in an unmarked Amazon package without a card that said, Merry Christmas, it's from us, right? Without that, if you sent that to me, it went in a pile in my closet. And if you texted or called me and said, hey, Ryan, Amazon told me that they delivered my package. Did you get it? I just told you yes, and I had no fucking idea. So we might have gotten your package. We might have not. I don't know because I'm not going to open 30 boxes.
Yeah.
That shit makes me need a bourbon every single time. Amazon has taken over Christmas, Zika, and it's brutal. It's brutal. It drives me fucking bananas.
My cheat code for that is I literally just take a box, even if it says my name on it, and I set it right on the counter because I know within the next 2 to 4 hours, my wife will open it up and she'll take care of it. You know what I mean? Because typically it's not for me. If it's for me, I'll know exactly when, those shoes are delivering or, something like a book is whatever it is, right?
Yep.
So that's like my cheat code around it. But see, I don't have kids. So
you don't have 40 boxes.
Exactly.
That's the problem.
I have like 6.
It was a legit tower.
Yeah. You know what? Let's just blame, instead of your relatives, let's blame Jeff. And there should be a more intuitive system upon the checkout screen. Can we both agree to that?
You're on a first name basis.
Yeah.
Jeff.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I just texted him like, hey, we're on the pod. Listen in next Tuesday. Get after it. Yeah.
So support out for all the family members. Too many to count. Who sent me a box and texted me and asked me if I got it. And I said, yes. Oh, yeah, I got it. Did not have any clue. I apologize to you, but that's what happens when you send me an Amazon package. I don't know if we got it. If Amazon told you that it was delivered, it probably was delivered, but I can't guarantee it. And love you. Cheers.
Bourbon of the week. This week, I'm actually really stoked, as per usual. We got a double dram edition. So this is one that I've been drinking for some time now, probably about the past year. It's been in Minnesota, and we're switching it up. We're not sticking to the Kentucky roots. We're actually going to Austin, Texas.
Oh,
the Lone Star State.
I'm excited. Okay.
Yeah. So today we're going to be covering 2 bourbons, 2 that I love. I'll always have in my cabinet or on the shelf. It all depends on who's coming over, right, Ryan? But typically,
whether it's people you appreciate and think know their shit with bourbon, or people that you don't really appreciate and think they don't know shit.
Yeah, this will be in the cabinet for sure.
Yep.
But so today we're going to be covering Still Austin Straight Bourbon whiskey.
Yes, you've talked about this quite a bit on the pod. You've mentioned it.
Yes.
Now it's here.
Yes, absolutely. So it's a 98 proof straight bourbon whiskey. MSRP around $45. You can get it for, even 35 at some Total Wine, depending when they got discounts on it all the time.
You can get it out here.
Yep. And then the Still Austin Cask Strength Bourbon whiskey. It's 118 proof, so a little bit higher, a little longer finish. We'll get into that. But it's a lot more bold than the straight bourbon, in my opinion. Roughly around $65. Again, Total Wine has it for like $59 typically on the shelf. So those are the 2 that we're going to be covering this week. And yeah, let's dive into it, man. So
love it.
On the double dram edition, again, a couple accolades. The straight bourbon, double gold at the San Francisco World Spirits Competition in 22, featured in Whiskey Advocate's top 10 craft bourbons. And then moving on to the Cask Strength Bourbon, gold medal at the Ascot Awards in 23, and then named top craft cask bourbon by Bourbon Enthusiast magazine. So these are 2 hitters that, again, they're close to me. I love them. They're fantastic, both neat and in a cocktail. Again, the straight bourbon, definitely more of the cocktail mixer. The Cask Strengths is definitely more of a sipper, in my opinion, right?
And winning awards relatively recently, right?
Yeah.
So this is a hot bourbon right now.
Yeah, and they're fairly new, right? So to kind of dive into the history, there's not a ton, but that's because they were originated in and born in 2015. So it's about as Texas as it gets, right? It's one of the few grain to glass distilleries in the Lone Star State alone. So basically what this means is everything is made in-house. So they use local ingredients from, the wheat, the corn to the rye, all locally sourced from Texas farms, right? Throughout the entire mash bill, everything from the mash to the bottling and the labeling is done inside the Still Austin distillery, which is super cool. Not a lot of companies do that. A lot of companies these days, even some that are on my shelf, they'll actually go to different places like MGP in Indiana, and they'll they'll purchase, a certain amount of barrels. They'll age it for 6 years, and then they'll take it and they'll finish it, slap their label on it, right? So everything is done in-house, right? So that really means something. So head distiller John Schreppel, a couple interesting things about Texas in general. They're really known for they call it like the turbo aging, right? So because of the heat, their bourbon ages faster, and it soaks up those rich flavors from those charred oak barrels in literally like record time. So that's why they kind of like, it's like turbo mode.
Your barrels are just sitting out there in like 100-degree heat.
Just sizzling, man, cooking away.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And as I mentioned before, 100% Texas pride, right? Texas grown grains. They even bottle and label everything locally. There's an artist that designs all of their labels. They're pretty cool. Check them out.
Yeah, there's a gal on the label.
Very, very pretty brunette.
Yeah,
strumming a ukulele, chasing a red bird.
Well, is that a ukulele? That's her hair. She's using her hair as a ukulele, right? Yeah, you gotta look a little closer there.
That's the bourbon talking.
Yeah,
I didn't realize she's just got Rapunzel-like hair.
So So there's
for her.
The red bird. I'm sure this all means something. It probably means something to Texas, right?
Yeah,
I'm sure it has something to do with the roots of Texas.
Some cool kind of facts actually too about this that I came across is they have what's called a column still. They actually named it Nancy. It's a massive 42-foot column still, and I'll get into that in a second what it is. But it's designed
I've never heard of a column still.
Column still, yeah.
Sounds very official.
I've seen him, but I didn't know that was the actual name for him before diving into a little bit of research here. But ultimately, it's designed for the Texas heat, kind of creates that smooth, flavorful spirit, right? So they actually named it based off of a character named Nancy on the 1958 cult classic sci-fi film, Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. And she's an absolute dime. So worth a Google.
We're gonna have to watch that one.
Yeah,
this should have been part of our homework for the episode. We should have watched this movie.
Just go to images. You'll understand. But anyway, since Still Austin doesn't have a long history yet, I figured I'd kind of dive into like what a still actually is.
Yes, please.
It's not the easiest thing to describe, but there's kind of two main ways to distill bourbon. So the still is ultimately it's a key tool used to turn the fermented liquid or the wash into whiskey by heating and condensing it into the high alcohol proof that you get in a barrel, right? So the two kinds, first one being a pot still. So it's used for smaller batches, more like flavorful spirits. It works like one batch at a time, and it keeps more of like raw flavors together, right? So the main distilleries that use this that you would know would be like a Woodford Reserve, Willett, Castle and Key, whereas the column still it's more efficient option for lots of continuous distillation, right? So, producing a very consistent whiskey, often used by like larger distilleries. So think like Jim Beam, Buffalo Trace, Wild Turkey, Four Roses, Heaven Hill, and so forth. So that's probably the more common one, right? And if you think about a column still, it's literally just a massive column, right? It looks like a huge tube, whereas a pot still looks like a Willett bottle, where it's got that fat base, and then it kind of comes up, kind of like a bong, to be honest. And
it's like, is it like a crazy amount smaller than the column?
Yeah. Exactly. And then there's some that even use a hybrid approach, right? It just depends on what kind of bourbons they're making. Like Maker's Mark and Michter's, they kind of use both column stills for the efficiency side, and then pot stills for more of their more complex bourbons, their longer aging bourbons as well. So those are kind of the two things that I wanted to go over, the types of stills. Again, pot still, column still, and some use that hybrid approach. So first we're going to dive into the straight bourbon whiskey. So it's going to be the lower proof of the two. Again, that's going to be a 98.4 proof, MSRP around $45. Let's check it out. A little deeper.
I like that. That was a long finish.
That was
on the pop. That cork had a long finish.
All right, let's check it out on the nose. Pretty hot on the nose if you dive it down. Deep. Go in the deep end there.
Cherry. That's what I'm getting.
Lots of cherry. And that's why I love it, like a dark fruit finish. Like all those E.H. Taylors, man. Most of them, I should say.
Yeah, cherry is definitely the dominant note when you shove the nose in the Glencairn on this one.
I know they say caramel, but honestly, I think the cherry, the dark fruits, really kind of overpower that.
I hear that. Yeah, it's a very fruity smell, which makes me excited to sip on it. I know you like your sweet bourbons, which
I do.
So this is why Still Austin's
we're here, man.
Still Austin's one of your faves.
Yep. All right, let's check out that palate. Give it a little chew. Pretty hot, but remember it's a 98 proof, right?
Yeah.
We're almost talking bottle and bond right now.
In terms of a chew, like the tongue's burning a little bit, but that was a pleasing chew, I would say.
I know they mentioned a little bit about like dark chocolate. I'm not getting any of that, but I definitely get a lot of vanilla, dark fruit, cherries, and it's like a long finish with a little bit of spice in there. So this specific bottle is going to be aged for 4+ years. These are obviously in the charred oak barrels. And again, just remember that Texas heat, we're talking 4 years. But if we're thinking about like the double time, the double tap that they give it, who knows, right? It could realistically be a 6 or an 8 year bourbon in Kentucky, for instance, right? Or Indiana or wherever. So it's just something to keep in mind. So this bourbon, I think in general, it says 4 years, but really it hits like, to be honest, like a 6, think about that Heaven Hill 7-year bottle and bond, right?
Yeah.
Like the flavors here, I think are even more forward than in the HH7. So
it's definitely a flavorful little sipper, isn't it?
Yeah, and this is just the regular straight bourbon.
I can see why you're a fan.
Yeah.
It's definitely different, and we've only really tasted Kentucky bourbons on the pod, right? I think this is episode 9 now, so we've tasted 9 different bourbons. This is our first one outside of Kentucky.
Yeah,
and it's really cool that the different climate and the different location and all of that, like how that plays into the process, right?
Crazy.
4 years gives you maybe even more flavors than 7,
right?
Because it's Texas.
Texas forever, Street.
Texas forever.
And when we're talking about the mash bill on this, pretty straightforward. 70% Texas white corn, 25% rye, and 5% malted barley. You ready to dive into the next one?
Yeah, I feel like I'm warmed up for it. Definitely.
Good, because you just warmed up for 118 proof. Still Austin Cask Strength Bourbon.
I'm ready for it.
All right, let's go. Let's get it.
All right, pop the second bottle, baby. I like this double. This is the double dram.
Double dram episode, man.
I'm gonna be stumbling upstairs to the bedroom.
I'm gonna be crawling across the street.
Yes, you are.
All right, so let's dive into the tasting notes for Still Austin Cask Strength Bourbon.
Yeah, it's definitely, you can feel the proof on the nose.
So this one's very different, actually.
It is. It's quite a bit different.
I'm definitely getting that toffee and kind of honey or brown sugar.
You said toffee?
Toffee. Do you smell like a caramel toffee? Definitely get the brown or the burnt sugar.
Burnt sugar. How would you describe that smell?
Like when something caramelizes. So
okay, yeah, I totally see that. So you put some sugar in a pan and saute it.
Correct. Sauteed sugar.
Sauteed sugar is what I'm smelling right now.
You know what? I almost like the burnt sugar to me reminds me of vanilla extract when you're baking.
Okay.
That's kind of the smell that I get, and that's also a combination of that toffee or caramel. So I love it. It's very similar to a lot of the bourbons that I love to drink, but very still different than the nose on the regular just straight bourbon, right?
So would you, if you're doing a double dram, that's what we're calling this? Really, this is just called putting Ryan in a casket. That's what this is called.
You looked at me like,
let's
fucking go, bro.
Let's give Ryan 2 glasses of bourbon and give him the higher proof one second.
Well, that's how you're supposed to drink it. Otherwise, you're going to burn your palate.
So now would you say Kentucky Chew twice, or now can I just dive in?
I mean, at this point, your palate's pretty burnt, but I would say take a little sip of the first one and then do the chew for the second.
Okay.
Just keep it straight across the board.
Okay.
Oh. Very hot.
Very hot on the chew. The first one was an easy chew, I would say. It was probably one of the easier chews we've had.
Mm-hmm. It's funny because now on the nose, we talked about that toffee burnt sugar. I thought it'd be, a lot more full. I've obviously had this several times, but just based off of the nose and the bourbon, I taste a little bit of that on my palate, and then it immediately goes to almost more of like a rye finish with like some dark fruits or like cherries even. So for me, I would love that. Don't get me wrong, it's fantastic, but what I smelt on the nose, that's something that's fantastic for me. The toffee, the caramel, and now when I'm thinking about like the palate and the finish, definitely a longer finish, pretty hot, right? Like I might even put a little dab of water in this.
Yeah.
But it's definitely on the front. You got that sweet honey, butterscotch, and then it rolls into like baking spices or almost like a rye finish with some dark cherries, for me at least. And it's definitely long, but it hits pretty hard on the ethanol side. And I opened this bottle about a month ago. So, I mean,
this is aggressive because
strong.
I'm drinking this neat. Okay.
That's pretty neat.
But it's definitely drinkable neat, even for someone of my experience with bourbon, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is a drinkable bourbon neat. Maybe a dab of water, maybe a cube would open it up a little bit, but definitely drinkable. Like this is not one that is going to like, you're going to take a sip and like fall directly into a body bag or anything. Like this one is this is a very easy sipper, I would say.
So when it comes to the aging of this bourbon, so we're looking at roughly about 4 years for the cask strength, and it's uncut and unfiltered. And I think you've seen that on a couple different bourbons, maybe not on the podcast yet, but you'll see it in the store, right? Like Smoke Wagon's another one. They have a great uncut, unfiltered bourbon. Basically what that means is the bourbon is bottled straight from the barrel at full proof with no water added. So this kind of keeps those bold, natural flavors, right? So it's truly from the barrel to your glass, whereas other ones like the straight bourbon, it's a little diluted with water. So that's what kind of differentiates the two here. And I think that's what you can truly taste is those characteristics really shining through in the cask strength with that longer finish versus the straight bourbon at that 98 proof. All right, Ryan, you ready for the E5 scale?
Always ready, my man.
All right, let's check it out. So let's start off with the Still Austin Straight Bourbon Whiskey. Again, we got the Daily Dram, Impress Your Guests, Budget Blend, Saturday Night Sipper, or Precious Pour. Where are you plotting this on the map?
We're going to do this for both drams tonight.
Correct.
Okay. So straight bourbon whiskey. I'm going to ask you, Zika, right? We have not had a daily dram yet since we introduced the E5 scale. Now, we didn't have the E5 on episode 1. And I feel like the cask strength is probably too expensive to be a daily dram. We've talked about in the past, right? Like the daily dram's got to be something that it's not quite a budget blend, but it's like it can't be too expensive that it's unrealistic to have it daily, right? So I'm wondering, does this fall in that category? Does this finally fall into the daily dram category, the straight Still Austin?
All right, Ryan, if I'm being honest, I think I'm stuck between two. Can you guess which ones they are?
Yeah, I would say we're talking about for the straight bourbon whiskey.
Correct.
Still Austin straight. Well, hopefully it's daily dram because that's the one that I gave to you. I fed you that one like on a platter. I served that up to you on a tea.
Thanksgiving dinner.
Offered it to you to knock out of the park. You're not quite sure if you want to take that swing yet, so that's fine. Daily dram or a budget blend for the straight whiskey, but I think Still Austin has like some special qualities being from Texas, being a little bit different. The flavors just hit a little bit different than these like Kentucky bourbons that we're used to. Really, I just hope you're going daily dram because we have not had a daily dram yet on the E5 scale. So I'm hoping this is finally that bourbon.
You know, we haven't, and I really want to go between those two, daily dram and budget blend. I really want to go daily dram. To go back on my word, I believe I chose Woodford Reserve Double Oaked as the budget blend. Not 100% sure, but if I chose that for roughly a $50 to $55 price point, if I can recall correctly, I love that one because it's, again, something that I can sip neat, maybe a little dash of water, but also something that I can pour cocktail. I think it's just a fantastic cocktail pour, and that's even more expensive than this. And if I put this in budget blend for that $39 to $45 price range, I'd be shooting myself in the foot a little bit, right? So, unfortunately, I'm going to have to agree with you on the Daily Dram. I'm going to go Daily Dram, final answer, just because it is a great everyday sipper. I would love to use it as a mixer, as a budget blend. But at the same time, like, for the price point, it is a budget blend, but that's a second caveat, right? So I'm just going to go Daily Dram.
All right. I love that. It's great to have a Daily Dram. That's our first one.
So the Still Austin Cask Strength Bourbon Whiskey. Daily Dram, impress your guests, budget blend, Saturday night sip, or precious pour.
I think it's possible this could fit the impress my guest bill with the gal on the front and just the strength of the bourbon and like the flavors that are pretty complex, and especially if you drink it neat. Like, how much is the Cask Strength?
$59 to $65.
To me, that doesn't fit the budget blend. I feel like if you're paying over $60 for it, that doesn't really fit the budget blend to me.
But I would counter that and say, I think this is more a budget blend because it's a high proof bourbon that has a long finish and lots of characteristics behind it, and something that I love, right? So that price point of roughly $60 is something that I would assume for a higher proof bourbon, like some, let's just say like a Weller, 107, secondary market that's going for like 110 right now. That's something that is a little bit higher proof, but it's fantastic. It's got the cherry notes, long finished, fucking heavy wheated bourbon, fantastic. And that's roughly about 110 secondary. And I have to, pull strings to get that. Whereas I can go down to the liquor store, Total Wine, and buy this for $60. And it's a similar pour, not as good, don't get me wrong, but still very good for $60.
I'm a little stunned, honestly, knowing you and knowing how much you appreciate Still Austin, that this would be a budget blend for you and not a Saturday night sipper.
Damn.
But a lot of these bourbons so far have fallen in the Saturday night sipper category, right? Like, we've hit on a few Saturday night sippers already.
Right.
So it's like, it's not my hope that I can convince you that this is yet another Saturday night sipper, but I know you love the Still Austin series,
right,
if you will, right? And I would imagine the Cask Strength is high on your list.
Correct.
Right? It's a little bit more complex than the straight.
Yep.
You would tell me that you would rather put this in a Manhattan for a guest than sit on your couch on a Saturday night watching college football or whatever, some NFL playoff game, and sip on this bourbon. That's what you're telling me?
Very fair point. And I will argue to say that just because it's a budget blend, and we typically talk about it, something that where we can mix cocktails for our guests, but also enjoy as a, 2-finger pour, maybe a dash of water, doesn't necessarily mean that I would ever make a cocktail with this. Just because it's a budget blend, I would say it's something more that is affordable for what I love. And for this Still Austin Cask Strength, it's very affordable. Allocation-wise, it's anywhere that you can literally get it at any Total Wine. And it's something that has a longer finish that I would compare to a lot of higher proof Cask Strength bourbons that I just enjoy personally. So I get the Saturday night sipper, caveat, hashtag, whatever you want to do. It's there. But because of the price point, I'm going to stick with budget blend.
You're basically telling me this is an underrated bourbon.
Correct.
You can generally find this bourbon, at least in Minnesota, where, as you said, the bourbon distribution kind of sucks.
Yes.
Right? So if we can find it here, you're assuming you can find it anywhere.
Correct.
Yeah. I'm actually proud of you for this because I feel like this is painful for you because I know you really like this bourbon.
I do.
And this is like the fuller proof, right? Like this is the more like,
it's the nuts, the meat and potatoes.
This is the nuts. This is the manly one, right?
Yeah.
That's like, this is of the double dram. This is the manly one. And this is the one that falls in the budget blend and not the straight proof.
I'm not happy about it.
Like I'm stunned. Like never did I think the Cask Strength would fall into budget blend for you. Like I did not see that coming.
Never did I think the Vikings would be 14-2, bro.
Me either, bro. And that's a wrap for this week's edition of the Bourbon Playbook, where the bourbon is smooth, even if the podcasting isn't.
And hey, we might not be top shelf podcasters, but luckily the bourbon is. Cheers to keeping it classy in the basement. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.